Good evening. The digital art world can seem extremely intimidating when you're on the outside looking in. I mean, there are so many drawing tablets and softwares to choose between. What do all of these menus even do? And why does everything cost more than my will to live? Shh, it's okay. It doesn't have to. I got you, baby girl. Today, my dear friends, I want to walk you through the process of getting into digital art affordably, as well as share my own humble beginnings with you as I redraw one of my earliest digital art pieces using the same kind of drawing tablet as I had way back then. But first, I want to talk about your journey and your hardware. Because what the heck do I even draw on? If you are on a budget, then let's forget about the coolest newest iPad or the Wacom Cintiq Nimbus 2000. You do not need all of that. Maybe future you can indulge in it, but we gotta get you started first. So let's look at what you already own. Do you have a phone? A PC? A tablet? Or maybe an old laptop? One of these is most likely going to be a starting point. As long as whatever you own is good enough to run a drawing software, then you'll be able to get started just fine. Let's say, for example, that you already own an iPad. In that case, it might be easier to invest in an Apple Pencil. However, if you instead have a laptop that you use every day for studying, then maybe a drawing tablet would be better for you. I heavily suggest that you do some research to figure out what would fit your current situation the best, as you might not need to spend as much as you think. I personally went from drawing on my phone with my finger to getting a non-screen drawing tablet, to then get a snazzy Samsung Galaxy Tab, and later an iPad Air 2, and now I'm finally on a Huion screen drawing tablet. You can and probably will jump between the different options as time goes on and your wants and budget changes. I will say that one of the best and most versatile options for those starting out right now is probably a non-screen drawing tablet, as they are incredibly inexpensive compared to many of the other options. Plus, a lot has happened in terms of technology since I got my little Intuos Draw 10 years ago. Just look at the pressure sensitivity and how many different devices a lot of them can connect to. Man, kids these days have it so easy. However, there are also a lot of options for non-screen drawing tablets. So in this video, I thought I would include a little review of an adorable one that came out recently, that being the PARBLO X7, priced at 60 USD, which the fine folks over at PARBLO kindly sent me to try out for free. Before I get started, I want to reiterate that whilst this is a review specifically of the PARBLO X7, I also want to use this video to show the overall capabilities that a lot of these more budget-friendly drawing tablets have. So I'll be doing my best to highlight both the pros and cons of this tablet so that you can get a full understanding of whether the PARBLO X7 is a good option for you, or whether a non-screen drawing tablet is right for you in general. In an attempt to prove that you really don't need expensive tools to make cool art, I've decided to use this tablet both with my 8-year-old laptop and my phone later on, as a little challenge for myself and also so I don't have to uninstall my current tablet's driver on my PC. I will also be redrawing 2 of my oldest digital art pieces during this, which I thought would be fun since when I originally made this art I was using very similar tools to this. I really hope this can go to show that you are not a lesser artist just because of the tools you use, and that you can and will grow even if you are on a tight budget. And with that, let's get into the first drawing. So, I'll be redrawing this lovely piece featuring a girl with long braids who looks rather annoyed. You can tell that this was from my drawing noses as triangles phase. I believe I drew it in 2019, but later on I will also be redrawing the earliest digital drawing that I could find, which I made back in 2018. As you can see, I used my very old laptop, which is purely running on hopes and prayers. It was definitely a little bit of a challenge because of the screen, which had less vibrant colors than what I was used to. I made it work though, by occasionally saving down a picture of the drawing and then viewing it on my phone screen, just to make sure the colors were as I imagined. The laptop is definitely starting to feel like a bit of a relic though, I'd say. Especially when I was trying to set up the recording and even Task Manager failed on me. However, it was still definitely possible to draw with, and I even managed to make a drawing that I was quite proud of in the end. By the way, you are going to be seeing a lot of my cat interrupting this recording, which I apologize about. He is a very curious kitty and he loves to see what I'm up to, so he definitely paid quite a few visits during the Speedpaint. Maybe we'll keep a cat encounter down in the corner. Now, for those of you who might not know a lot about non-screen drawing tablets, the way these work is essentially like using a mouse. That means you use your hand-to-eye coordination to move your cursor along the screen with the pen. Depending on the tablet you get, it will have some fancy features though, like pressure sensitivity and potentially even tilt functions. It definitely will take some practice and getting used to before drawing with it will feel completely natural. And it's okay if it takes your time, it did for me too. Thankfully, I did pick one of these up many years ago, so by now I am able to draw with them very comfortably, even after a break of only using screen drawing tablets. It was really fun to go back to my roots as well, seeing how I was now able to use these tools with much more drawing experience compared to back then. I completely understand if these drawing tablets seem a bit intimidating to pick up at first, but trust me, after you've done a couple of drawings with this thing, you'll feel a lot more comfortable. If I can do it, you can too. I've also heard some people have the misconception that these kinds of drawing tablets are quote-unquote unprofessional, or that you won't get as good results with them. But that is really not the case. A lot of professionals even prefer these tablets over something with a screen, as they are much better ergonomically for your posture and your back. I definitely felt that when I went back to my usual tablet again. My shoulder has been killing me. In terms of the drawing itself, I started off with a sketch where I tried to stick to the same pose, but I just opened it up a bit, whilst drawing it from a slightly different angle so that her silhouette could be more easily readable. I'm thinking she's either sitting at a bar or something and then sees someone she very much dislikes, or maybe she overheard a conversation happening next to her. Have you ever had that moment where you catch yourself making quite a big face to something you heard a passing stranger say? Sometimes the smallest remark really can tell you a lot about someone, and I often forget how expressive I can be. Oops. I tried to stick to the same hair and jacket though, and I even gave her identical piercings in her ear. I think the only thing I changed design-wise is giving her some fingerless gloves, because they're cool. Shut up. I really can't get over how pretty the color of this tablet is though. Like, I would have killed for something like this when I first started out. I really love that the tablet market has been making more of these cute and pretty tablets rather than purely focusing on the professional look on all of them. Cause like, digital art can be fun and cute too, just look at it. This tablet also comes with a little wheel and some express keys on the side, as well as a little dial you can turn to switch between tablet, phone, and laptop mode, I believe. I had my wheel set to zoom in, which worked nicely, and I pretty much used up all of the express keys. There were also 2 buttons on the pen itself, along with an end you could screw off to store a few replacement nips inside of, and how neat is that? All of this worked really well. However, I also want to make sure that I give you guys both the pros and cons of this specific tablet so that you can better make your decision of what tablet would work well for you. So let's go into the pros first. It has 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, which works great. The tilt function is wonderful too. I find myself using that a lot in my art. $60 is very cheap as well for a tablet, and it doesn't feel low quality. I've heard some people be surprised by how light it was, but honestly it weighed about what I expected. Like, it's not metal by any means, but it feels completely fine to me. The surface of the drawing pad also has a really nice material on it, so that when you draw there's more resistance to it. Kind of like if you were drawing on paper. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I can feel I missed it a bit when I went back to my other tablet, which basically feels like drawing on glass. This will wear down your nibs faster though, but it does come with plenty of replacement nibs, so it's not really a problem to me. I would also count the design as a pro. I really enjoy how cute it is, and I'm a person who really enjoys express keys, so that's definitely a plus for me. The wheel too. I like it. Other than that, it came with a drawing glove and a pen sleeve, which makes traveling with it a lot safer. You're not gonna accidentally break it or something when it's in your bag. Oh, and some cute stickers. Those are all really great pros, but let's move on to the cons. I would say that my biggest issue with this tablet was setting up the driver, especially getting it to work properly with my phone, but I'm gonna get into that later on. For now, just be aware that this specific tablet can only connect to Android, so if you're using an iOS system, then it might not be for you. For my Windows laptop though, the first step was a standard procedure of deleting any pre-existing tablet drivers on my laptop before downloading the PARBLO's driver. This is because the drivers can interfere with each other, so it's best to play it safe and only run one at a time. If it's your first tablet though, you can just go straight to downloading it. It was a little strange downloading the driver through a Google Drive link, I'd say, but like, it worked fine. After that, setting up the express keys worked fine as well. I just needed a little bit of time to set it up how I wanted. But then I ran into an issue. I was using Krita, which is a free drawing software, and for some reason when I zoomed out quite far and drew a line, it was almost like the pen connected to like a grid pattern, and when you were zoomed in, that meant that your lines looked a little bit more jagged in general. I searched around the web and tried downloading some other drawing softwares where I didn't run into the same issues, so I honestly couldn't tell you if it was a driver issue or a Krita issue, or maybe my laptop being a fossil had something to do with it. But regardless, the way I fixed it was through going into the tool settings window and then setting the brush smoothing to be higher. I don't remember the word used in the menu, but it was something along the lines of strong or heavy, which made 90% of my issue disappear, so I could move along into my drawing. Other than that, I had like twice where my cursor would suddenly dart to the side of the screen, usually leaving a line after it, but I could just undo that line and then I went on with my drawing, so it was rare that it was really like an issue, just something to mention. That was really my only problem and what I would consider a con when using it with my Windows laptop, but again, I'm gonna go over some issues I had when connecting it to my phone later on, which will definitely be good to keep in mind too. Also, I should mention when downloading the driver, if you're using a Mac, you might have to go into some security setting and allow the download to go through. It shouldn't be too difficult, it's just your computer being wary of the file. You should be able to Google your way to it if you're confused. What's nice about it though is that they have a website with a big list of fixes if you encounter any problems with the tablet, which definitely helped me with some issues later on. I'll leave a link to that in the description. I also wanted to give a brief note on drawing software, because I was definitely unsure of what to use when I was starting out. but after having tried out loads of different ones, I can confidently say that Krita is probably going to be the best pick for you if you're on a budget. It is completely free and still being updated to this day. It has many different tools, it's equipped for a bunch of different tasks, and it's very customizable. Like every single time I see someone using it, I think it's a different drawing program than it is, just because it's like unrecognizable from each other. That's how much you can customize it. I personally really enjoy using it, and I did for many years before switching over to Clip Studio Paint. And I don't know if I would call Clip Studio Paint budget friendly, so I would definitely at least try this one out first. There's a bunch of different tutorials out there too if you need some help to get started. For a final mention about the drawing itself, I had a lot of fun with the colors, and I got inspired by like the comic book look, so I tried to incorporate that a little bit. The original drawing didn't have any colors either, so I had free reign and just put her in a green jacket, because that felt right. I also gave her a couple scars on her face, meaning that she's either a badass who's been in some fights, or incredibly clumsy and just eats all her falls with her face. I'll leave that up for interpretation. I am honestly really happy with how it came out though, especially since it was a little bit difficult with the colors on my laptop screen and having to view it on my phone occasionally, so I think it turned out really well despite that, and it's definitely quite an improvement compared to the first one. Again, you absolutely can and will grow with these tools, you just gotta put in some effort and enjoy the process of creating, and then before you know it, you'll be drawing like your favorite artist. Just give it time. It's now time to move on to the next drawing though. This one being on my phone and with an even older piece. The oldest that I could find. This is one of my earliest digital drawings, done when I had just gotten a non-screen drawing tablet. To some extent, I do have an urge to laugh at it now, you know, looking back at my impeccable shading, but also this is just what it looks like when you're starting out. Criticizing my younger self in this case is kind of stupid, because she is the one who brought me to where I am today. She went through a lot of drawings that maybe she wasn't that happy with so that I could get better, and I'm really grateful for that. Plus, maybe there's some of you in a similar spot in your art journey, and I think that's amazing. You guys got this, one drawing at a time. I will say one thing though, that chin. Also, it is so cursed to see a cursor on your phone, oh my god. But it works, ta-da! I genuinely would have been so excited by this when I first started out. Like, what? Look at it! I got pressure sensitivity on my phone. I might be coming across as old, geeking out about this technology, but it's just so cool, man. Oh, and also, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize about the camera quality. I had to use my webcam to record this since my phone was obviously a bit preoccupied, and it doesn't look great. I was filming during the day as well, and I kind of forgot about the concept of the sun moving. So later on, the colors are gonna get weird, and it will be very hard to see anything on the screen. I did try and fix it in post, but guys, I'm sorry, there's not much I could do. Listen, I got a neat little recording of my screen on the side, so you'll have to look at that instead. I also love how I perfectly blocked the nicely set up candle with my recording. Can you guys tell I'm a YouTuber? I'm very professional. For this drawing, I ended up using the Ibis Paint app. I did briefly try out Medibang as well on here, but I wasn't really a fan of their menus, so I just popped back in here. Back in the day, I used Ibis Paint when I was still drawing with my fingers, so I just felt like I knew the program a little bit better, and I wanted to use it because of that. It does work well in my opinion though. Like, the only downside is that you have to view an ad every like 3 hours if you want to have access to all of the brushes, which was fine by me. Now, this is where I ended up running into some more issues with the tablet. Since connecting it to my phone did work, but I did immediately encounter a weird bug. The calibration of my tablet was set fine along horizontally, but for some reason it only used about 3 centimeters of the tablet vertically. That meant that if I drew a circle, it would basically end up looking like an oval. This did mean that the experience wasn't exactly plug and play, and I ended up looking through the website for help, and I found that the fix to the bug I had was to download an app through another Google Drive link, and then follow the tutorial to set it to English before setting up the calibration specifically to be the 1/3 of screen bug. After that, it did work fine, but it was quite a few steps to go through, so it's something to keep in mind if you're very new to tech. Also, as far as I understand, you can only use your tablet set up in portrait mode like this, and I also don't believe you can customize your express keys on phone, which includes the pen buttons and the wheel, and also the buttons on the tablet itself. That was honestly a big drawback for me since I used them a lot, so I ended up experimenting around and found something even stranger. For some reason, the express keys are set up to work but just aren't compatible with most apps, meaning that sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. For example, within Flip-a-Clip, none of the buttons work apart from the last one, which plays your animation. And in the Notes app, only the first button does something, which is undoing. In Medibang, only the 2 middle buttons did anything, which was change your brush size. And in Ibis Paint, only the pen button was set to undo. Which was another reason why I went for Ibis Paint to draw in. It is just really weird to me though. I'm not completely sure if maybe there is a way to set it up, but it's just not shown through the website or easily accessible. There's of course a chance that I got it completely wrong, but that was my experience with it, and I would call myself like decent at tech. It is definitely something to note down though, and for me it would have been a drawback if I was looking to buy a tablet specifically to use with my phone. Again, this tablet also doesn't connect to iOS either, so honestly I can't really wholeheartedly recommend this tablet if you're looking to use it with a phone. It does work, but without express keys, and you might have to face a few bugs first like I did. That still wasn't gonna stop me from using it though. I got used to zooming in and out with the touch gestures, which worked fine, and thankfully the undo button was still working on the pen with an IBIS Paint, so I do still think it's a really cool option to have. Like if I go traveling or I go for a walk or suddenly an idea just comes to me and I have to write it down, I can very easily pull out my phone and this tablet from my bag. It was just a bit frustrating to set up initially. If you are looking to use a tablet with your phone, don't let this sway you away from the idea. There are many different options out there, and with enough research, I'm sure you could find one that meets your specific needs, which is still affordable. I can't lie though, I was having so much fun with this. Since I used to draw on my phone with my finger back in the day, using these apps again was incredibly nostalgic, and suddenly having things like pressure sensitivity and like accuracy was making my inner child just jump from joy. I actually made a pretty cool looking piece with this. Isn't that crazy? I did go quite simple in terms of the drawing, since firstly the original piece was literally just a headshot, but also I was a bit out of my comfort zone using the phone to draw, so I took it easy. A simple 3/4 headshot, can't get better than that. The design of the girl was also really simple. It's just a girl with red hair and a ponytail and some green eyes. I did decide to give her a white tank top though, so she's not a floating head like she is in the original. Also, please ignore me struggling on the hair rendering as well. I figured out eventually, it just took me some time. Thinking back, I actually didn't notice if the tilt function worked on the phone, since I don't think any of the brushes I used was set up with that. I was still able to draw just fine though, and I didn't encounter any bugs once I'd set up the app and the screen calibration. My phone did get quite warm though, since I was also running a screen recording and had just charged it to full battery. Nothing concerning, but I'm glad I had it on my table instead of holding it in my hand. Overall, I had a really fun time with this tablet, and I hope this can go to show that budget drawing tablets are still definitely capable of creating some really cool art. It just takes some practice and some time to get used to, and then you'll be drawing amazing art without even realizing how much you're improving. Also, don't be too frightened by drawing softwares. Like if you're new to digital art, just think of them as your pencil case or your toolkit to create neat things with. Every piece you do, you're gonna learn a little bit more about what you can do with these tools and how you enjoy using it yourself. I know I'm still finding cool new techniques every day after 6 years of drawing digitally. Like, it's really not as scary as it sounds. Just look at a tutorial when you need and learn what the next button does when you're feeling like it. You only really need to know what maybe 5% of the drawing software does to use it. A brush, an eraser, and an undo button is gonna go a long way for you. And you can learn about layers and blending modes and masking when the time comes. You do not need it just to start. Remember to take it one step at a time, get comfortable with your new tools, and just have fun. That is the most important part. Do it because you love creating. And if you need a reminder of why drawing is so fun, why not check out some of my other videos? I love doing speed paints and ranting about whatever subject has caught my eye and delving into franchises and characters that bring me oh so much joy. I hope I can share some of that joy with you, or at least leave you feeling a little bit more inspired to create. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. As a reward, you now get to subscribe. No one else gets to, only the people who made it to the end. I don't mind, you can press a button. Anyways, I really hope you have a good rest of your day and that you take good care of yourself. Cozy out.